Hello, everyone. My name is Abby Heber, and I'm responding to the third and final discussion post for this course. I really enjoyed it so far. So, this one concerns itself with the problem of human scale as it pertains to politics. So, again, I was very excited about this discussion and then had to do a bunch of research because I didn't know how to answer it. Throughout studying this module, like many of you, came across Dr. Don Livingston's work. His lectures were very helpful. So, I'll use his lectures as well as an article that I found that he wrote titled David Hume and the Republican Tradition of Human Scale. So the lectures as well as that article is what I'll be using to kind of aid my response. Don Livingston uses two views to introduce the problem of human scale and specifically the way to manage proper political order. So one is from ancient Athens, where philosopher Aristotle argues for a small form of government. This idea of a small government acting as a republic is something that a writer which has been previously discussed, Moira M. Walsh, articulates in her work, Aristotle's Conception of Freedom. I'll just briefly note here, as in a previous discussion, that Walsh, because I think it's important and very interesting, that Walsh begins her journal article with a quote from Aristotle's Metaphysics, which sums up his views on freedoms. And this reads, that human being is free, we say, who exists for his own sake and not for others. So Walsh breaks down Aristotle's definition of freedom in writing that the free man acts not for an end outside of himself, but for the sake of his own well-being and for that of those with whom he is united in a partnership. When this partnership is formed for the sake of a good of which his own good is a constitutive part. With this Aristotelian view, a government should concern itself with representing people and the citizens striving for a good, knowing that he or she is part of something larger, a part of a larger quest towards goodness. So the second man, noted by Dr. Livingston, pushes us far forward, centuries forward, to the 17th century with Thomas Hobbes. The Hobbesian review tradition believes that a government should be large. Hobbes believed that without a cohesive state and a coercive state of government, humans would kind of devolve into a state of anarchy. That's a paraphrase by Dr. Livingston. This, without a cohesive state of government, people will devolve into a state of anarchy. And that rang so familiar in my mind that I thought, where have I heard that before? And I realized it was in the Federalist Papers, which the 1788 Federalist Papers reads, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. That probably sounds familiar to you guys too. And that is, in essence, the way that I took it away is government is the antidote to anarchy. So in his journal article, Dr. Livingston writes that the French Revolution produced the first modern large-scale republic, ruling in the name of the people and declaring itself in Hobbesian fashion to be one and indivisible. That meant that this counterintuitive claim was this: what was wrong with monarchy was not a hereditary executive, but the creation of a centralized bureaucratic administration with a would-be monopoly on coercion over individuals in a territory. The revolution, that is the French Revolution, did not devolve power back to smaller human scale units in France, but greatly expanded central power beyond anything 18th century monarchs could have imagined. No 18th century monarch could have ordered universal conscription, a barrier which limited the size of armies and the scale of war. So basically, the French Revolution brings forth a contradiction, you could say, which attempts to present the Hobbesian state as something it could not possibly be. And namely, and this is a paraphrase by Dr. Livingston from his lecture, part 2 of his lecture, a republic which yields an incoherence in political thought that is still present today. So looking at these two perspectives and interpretations of government, Aristotle and Hobbes, I see the reasoning in both of them. However, I believe that any government or republic that is run by man will be corrupt in some way because we are prone to mistakes, selfishness, and guilty of biased judgment. I know I certainly am. But looking towards and seeking good will set our aim closer, I believe, to an ideal government. And in my opinion, that goodness is godliness. They're synonymous with one another because all goodness comes from God. So thus, I think the problem with human scale, to keep it succinctly, is humanity. I appreciate all of you watching. I look forward to reading and hearing your discussions and your videos, and I've appreciated this class very much. So thank you.